So welcome back to Newcastle Central. I kind of fooled you all last time when I said that, and hopefully I'll be able to make some more progress and it won't quite be so long between videos. It's been well over a month since I actually posted the video. So in the last video, it's actually the 500 subscriber thank you, I think, and we're pretty much at 600 now. In the last actual layout video that we were doing part 1 of the platforms. If you haven't watched that, then click the link up in the top corner of the video right now and go back and see that first part. And what we're doing is we're working on this final section of the platform here. So it's actually in 3 different pieces. So we've already gone ahead and we've made the first platform, and we've also made the second platform. And so this final part is really just wrapping it all together in these 3 parts. So in the first video of this final platform build, we went ahead and did the paper templates and then made actual the car platforms, made sure that they were all okay, made sure that they were adjusted where it needed to be so that the trains could move in and out. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to show how I go ahead and do the concrete covering, and then the brickwork edging, the platform side edging, all that kind of stuff. It all comes from Scale Scenes kits. Same as when I did it in the first platforms. Actually, the top concrete part isn't. We'll cover that in the video. Hope you enjoy this one, and we're actually making pretty good progress, hopefully. So it should, honestly, fingers crossed, it should only be another week or so until I get the final part, part 3, and we get that last part of the platform done. So here we go. This is how I go ahead and do all of the concrete covering and brickwork for station platforms. Yeah, so this is starting to get the paper ready. So this is what I use. It's TH0129 HO scale concrete from Clever Models. I think it was like $3, something like that, about £2 to print this out. They have a whole bunch of different textures, and when I first started doing the platform builds, I went through a couple of different ones just to try and figure out the best. This is what I ended up going with. So you come in, this is printed out on, I think it's 110 gram paper, so it's a thick, heavy paper. It's pretty much all it needs to be, but I find that works pretty well. I trim around, get rid of all the white parts like that, and so what I end up with is just a sheet like that of the actual concrete. There's probably an easy way to do this, but when you then have to press out onto here, I find that it's easy to have the white all cut out by the way it inverts it. And we'll see. I'll put it on the tripod and then just show how I go through doing that. So I get a whole bunch of these done. I think I've got half a dozen. There's about half a dozen of these done and ready, and that's probably enough to do probably about half of the platform. Maybe it keeps going all the way down there along with all the kids Lego. So we'll try and get these first ones done, put in place, and then we'll move on and do the rest of it. That's a whirlwind of the first few pieces put on. Had to trim out a little bit. I had marked on the edge of the platform here. I had trimmed it in a little bit too far on the actual top of the platform itself, so I had a little bit of a lip on here. So once we're done with the top part, take it back out, make sure that that's enough. It's probably too much, so I can trim it back a little bit, and I'll just run thin strips underneath just to add some extra strength there. That's kind of one of the advantages of using card. If you take off too much, you can easily add back to it, whereas if you're doing a wood platform, a little bit hard to do. A couple of spots here where I've drifted a little bit too far away, which is why I stopped, and then I'll relay and go again from here. But that's okay, because there's going to be the kind of edging stones that come over there. So I found this with the first couple of platforms. You don't have to be perfect here, as long as you're within, honestly, 10 to 15 millimeters. You pretty much have enough. You can't really tell once those edging stones go on. So this is about as far away as I want to get. I do try and keep it as neat as I can, and I think that back edge is pretty much fine all the way down. Certainly along here, this is where I now need to make sure that's fine, because that is going to be the back edge. There are no capstones, edging stones along there. So continue doing the rest of these, and then we can start doing those edging pieces. that is the two of those platforms done. A little bit different on this one here. I ended up just laying the first one and kind of went each one along after that rather than trying to do the first 3 or 4 at a time like I did with that first larger one. So this one worked out okay. This one's fairly solid when you pick it up, doesn't flex as much. That one, because of the length, kind of regretting doing it as one piece, it flexes, so you can see right around here it's lifted up, and in there it's also lifted up. That's fine. I can put some more supports in underneath and then just run a little bit of white glue on the edge there just to glue that down and push it back down. Everything else is fine. When you get right up close, it looks a little odd with the joins in there, but I don't think it'll be too bad once there's stuff actually on the platform from a distance. You know, when you're looking up high from a distance, it's not that bad. You would get kind of seams in the concrete anyway. But certainly this one I think has worked out pretty good. Again, as you pan along, you can't really see. If you stop and look carefully, then you can see the lines, but it's a compromise the same as the first 2 platforms that I'd already built. And I think that once the edging's on, once the platform edging's on, stone trim is on, and once you would have, you know, people and benches, trash cans, whatever else actually on the platforms themselves, you're not really going to be paying attention to the seams, hopefully. So now I've got those done, probably actually going to do the edge work along here, the side edging first, just because when I then wrap that around, sometimes there's a bit of an overlap, but I think I need to go and get all those cut out, and I probably need a few more of those, so we'll see how that goes. Platform siding and edging pieces are going pretty good. Not a whole lot to show on the edging pieces. They're just strips like this, and so they glue on the inside. They're fairly straightforward. Just cut them to length and then glue them down. The actual capping stones themselves, these edging pieces here, they're a little bit trickier, so I'll show a quick motion video of how they go through. The corners are kind of the tricky parts as well here, where they're joining in. So this is going to be where one of the DMUs would come in. If we kind of come back, this will be the back right hand corner, the curved platform that comes in. So there's a one straight piece, 2 lines will come in here, and then another curved piece starts to move away, which is actually this part over here. The only reason why these are a little tricky is because of the curved platforms. So they would come in strips like this, and so if you're doing strip platforms, it's actually really easy. You can just cut those to length, glue them in a straight line, and it'll be fine. Because these are going in a curve, what I have to do is fan them, basically. So on each of the stones, basically cut through to the white lines so that you can very gently start to curve them around, which makes it very tedious because there are 21 stones, so 42 cuts on each of the lengths, and then have to take care when you're actually putting the glue on them and putting them in place, and then when they wrap around they end up a little bit too long, so you then have to trim them down. So it's just a very slow and tedious process. So the actual platform edges, they're pretty straightforward. If you had a straight platform, again, the capstones would be fairly straightforward as well. But with the curved ones, having to fan and cut them all makes it a little bit slow going. So I've already got a whole bunch done. This one's pretty much done apart from the actual very edge. You can see the white line that will go through there, the platform inside edge. Again, that's even more tedious. That'll be the very last one that we get done. That might end up part 3 of the video. But otherwise, this piece is all done. Most of this other larger one is also done as well. Got a little bit of lifting here. Actually, the platform itself, because it's so wide, you can see it flexes a little bit. So what I'm going to do underneath is add in some more ribbing. You can see it's very empty and open underneath there, and so it's just not quite strong enough. So I need to put some more length where pieces, and then to give it more strength. But anyway, most of all this edging is done. I've got all of the platform edging and then the capstone. This is a join piece, so there is nothing in there. The same on the back of this one. I said this is mostly all done. and it is. There's nothing on the back because that's actually the back wall, so you won't see anything. So we'll do a quick motion video of putting in some of these edging pieces down those last parts on the end, just to get an idea of how you can carefully do those ones. This is then the last of those edging pieces done. So in the speed motion, I was working on that curve piece, and then I went ahead and did this last one. So now, if we kind of pan across, this is now the actual correct orientation. You see, this is now super long. This is in excess of 7 feet, something like that. Give us some idea. Let's try and shuffle this one down just a little bit. I don't know if I quite have room for this. Don't quite have room. Don't quite have room. There we go. So this is now what we've been working on here. That's loosely how it goes together. It doesn't fit perfectly. I think I'm caught up on the bag back there. But this is now what we've got. This is 2 of 3 parts of the platform done. We have one more for what would be the south side DMUs. They're a little bit tricky, which is why I've kind of left that one till last. I wanted to perfect this one. It isn't perfect. Nothing ever is. Like I said, this I've got to put some more supports underneath. Otherwise, quite happy with how it's all come out. You know, and once you kind of come back a ways, you really can't see any of the slight imperfections. We can talk about curve, and it is kind of just a gentle curve. It's not perfect again, but it's close enough when you look at it from a distance. You know, certainly along this back part, it kind of waves in and out ever so slightly. With doing it with card, it makes it really tough to try and get those perfect cuts. I think this is a 2mm card, maybe 2.2mm, somewhere right around there. And because you're basically doing it freehand, once you put that first score cut in, then that pretty much sets the angle. I couldn't really figure out a way to do a template. I tried a couple of different ways. So really that kind of paper approach that we showed in part 1 of the video, and then kind of converting that over is really the best way that I can find to do it. I have seen other channels that have done it with wood, In fact, Richard over in New Junction has been doing something very similar. He's doing a take on Newcastle Central, a little bit of a small scale in his layout, and he went with wood platforms, and so there you can get pretty close to the angle that you want, and then just very, very gently sand it, and so you can get pretty darn smooth curves. I had looked at that, but just the sheer size of these and the amount of sanding and the amount of dust that it kicks up was a little bit too much. But in general, I'm quite happy with how this is turned out. We do still have to do the very, very final edging. You can see the little white line, and there's a couple of imperfections over here, right around there, where it kind of got torn up when I was taking off the edging. That's fine. That'll get covered up. You won't see that once those final edging brickwork goes on. I'm going to leave that for part 3, because this has gone on pretty long now, showing you how we do the concrete tops, a little bit of the siding, and then these edging parts. So coming up in part 3, I'll probably do those edging stones. There's really nothing to it. All you do is cut, the way I do it is cut another strip of the 2.2mm card, wrap the brickwork around it, and then glue it down. It's just very, very fiddly. It's a lot of very small cuts because it's very, very narrow. It gets kind of messy with the glue as well. So in part 3, we'll attach all the edging bricks over to this. Getting that for Kina, if you can hear him yawning and stretching in the background. We'll attach those edging bricks, and then we'll work on this final part of the platform. For the south side DMUs, trains that will be coming into northbound south side DMU of the station. Get that finished up, and then we should be looking pretty good. So we'll take this out to the train shed, line up with the other couple of platforms that are already out there, and we'll see how it all looks quick. Okay, so this is now those 2 platform pieces put in place. You can see you've got one of the DMUs already parked up there. It's kind of hanging out, and then you get some idea with this HST parked up in place. This is a 6+2 HST. I think they're actually Mark 4 coaches. Yeah, but they're the long ones as opposed to these shorty Mark 3s that are in front. So you can get a full 6+2 rake quite comfortably, actually, as you've got the locals quite comfortably on the platform. You could probably actually stretch it out maybe and get one more coach in there. So yeah, this last part now is going to be this final platform section over there. I don't think it's going to be that bad. It is just kind of flimsy because we've got this very, very thin platform that goes between those 4-track DMU platform stations. So I'm going to move on to that part next, and also then do the final brickwork trim, and then we should be pretty much done with the platforms. Also got to put in those center supports there to kind of stop that sagging. But now if we kind of come back, it's definitely starting to look pretty cool now that you've got the coverings in place. Now you've got that edge work in place. So very excited to see that last part going in. So actually making pretty good progress now that I've been able to kind of get refocused on this. So hopefully that final part of the video should be done just within the next week or so, and then we'll be able to try and figure out what the next part of this platform build is going to be. So thanks for watching. Take care. Please do subscribe and follow along. If you haven't watched the first part where we actually made out the cardboard templates and the paper templates and transfer that to cardboard, please do so and subscribe so you can see this final third part coming up within the next week or so. Thanks. Bye.